Hello everyone, welcome to good old Gelvin Valley. We are in the middle of a hailstorm, which ironically is cleaning our equipment. Hopefully there's no large hailstones that fall. I think it's just the normal good old hail. I am kind of curious to know whether we're seeing any damage in the fields, or when I say damage, there are a few spots on here. I know I've said I was resisting planting crop until we get past the hailstorm, but I gotta remember there already is some planted crop with kind of a trick that Wild Wes used when he created the map. And actually, I think we can see it here real quick. If we just hop into the view, map view, there's well, yeah, see that there is a field of wheat up here. I bet we could see some damage being done to it. But you see there's canola up here. There is wheat all over the place. And I think most of it is withered, well, with exception of this up here. Oh, this has probably already been harvested. But I'm kind of curious to see if even these withered areas, if this mod that I have in here will do damage to it. And it might. So we're heading over here to the store. I want to go get, I figure while it's doing this, I maybe can spend some time. Let me just zoom out. Oh, you know what? I think, we're flooding down there. I can see that. It doesn't even seem like we've had all that much hail, but I don't see... Well, yes, I think there is a little bit of damage down here, so maybe there is some. Maybe there is... Oh, sorry. Oh, yes, I can drive right straight through them. Anyway, I figured while I have a little bit of time here... Oh, yeah. Here's a perfect illustration of the so-called damage. See, there's some of the decoration that as he used were these withered wheat areas, and since there is wheat over there, there's a damage area picked kind of by the mod to put these kind of screwy effects. And it's, in this case here, it really shouldn't be putting it down here, but that's what it's doing. Basically, what it's trying to say is if you have a crop of wheat in the field, it would reduce it to, at least parts of it, to the, I think this is chopped straw mod that is here, the texture that I'm having it use. So, it isn't perfect. It detects some of it over here, so the area, it kind of squishes out and it assumes there's some over here. And it's pretty careful to only put it, I think, in the field itself. So yeah, you'll notice there is no damage here. But honestly, I don't know if this is really damage here at all. We have the fields all ready to be planted, so I have a feeling I can just plant right through that. Still don't know what I'm going to plant, by the way. I haven't even really thought that far ahead. Oh yeah, see, we got stuff in the ditches. This area here, because of the level that it was, I chose to have some of it come up the hill here. Oh my goodness, I'm remembering now how painful it was to put all those planes in there. But I gotta say, it's really cool to see them working, and just seeing them go on down the hill. Yeah, down over the hill, of course, we have some, it's flooding. So, I don't remember exactly, and probably from here we can look down there and see it. Oh, maybe we can't. Huh, I guess I can't see in the hole from down there. We're far enough over. But the Gelvin Valley, she be flooding. Oh, and by the way, here the other day, just for kicks, I was looking in Northern Ireland which is where part of the map is based on, according to Wes. I think he grew up there, and his father had a farm there. And I was able to locate it, something called Gelvin River or the Gelvin River. And I can't remember off the top of my head. Somewhere I have Google Earth on it, and I left a mark on it so I could find it again. But it was really cool to see the name there, and to see some other names of places that Wes puts in his map description as to areas, he considered trying to mimic, when he put together this particular map. So there is, I don't know if there is a Gelvin Valley, but there is a Gelvin River, and most of the time I think rivers kind of sit in valleys anyhow. So we are over here now. I believe what I want to, let's see here, shoot. I can't remember if I hauled them on a trailer or, tell you what, for this recording, what I'm gonna do is simply come in here and where is forestry equipment? Oh shoot, am I on the, wrong ones. I want to go into forestry equipment here. Oh wait a minute, maybe I do want the mod because I believe I have other, yes, I need to get the modded version, never mind. This is the one because it will allow me to plant other kinds of trees. So let me give it 2 hours. That ought to be enough. So I'll come pick it up here, and then I gotta go to another location kind of up the hill to pick up some pallets. There we go. You know what? I probably need a weight on the front of this thing. That seemed a little... Yeah, I'm kind of swimming on the road a little bit. You know what? While I'm here... yes, I am swimming. Let me also purchase a weight. Weights have their own category. I don't know, a big one. Let me get the one in the middle. Do I have enough? I have money, folks. I actually have money because I sold a bunch of wool. So let me go in here, pick up the weight. Yeah, I'm just kind of... This might be one instance where it'll make a difference and give me a little stability. Perfect. Alright, now down the road, and we're gonna go get some trees. And actually, we'll be headed down here. Yeah, there's another stream, and we'll be kind of headed down here. We'll see kind of how the flooding is going and whether it's going to create a problem for us. I don't think it floods the tree area here. I think it comes just up to it. And, yeah. We shouldn't have a problem here. That is kind of neat seeing it out in the field. I've been having trouble kind of with the floodplain there, but I see that it is working and you can actually see it out in the field. Alright, let me head on up the hill here. I think I still remember where to get these. It's been some time since I've planted them. Oh yeah, we are flooding. Actually, you know what? I almost think it floods pretty profusely down through here. So it's maybe good we're coming through here while we are. Because I don't know that we'd be able to later. But I'm pretty sure it's going to dunk all of this as it goes. Kind of would suck. Oh, dang it. Oh, now I'm damaging my tractor by hitting from a can't steer straight. Kind of would suck if you had a house down here, but I think the people are used to having things flooded. You see another stream right here. along the roadside. Well, I'll get up here and try to buy some trees. Almost have a notion to plant a different kind than I did last time. You know, I don't see it very often, but over the hill here, oh yeah, there's some trash down over the hill. But I thought he had a crashed car. Is that on this local S? I'm almost positive there's one over there. Maybe I'm not looking down the hill enough. Somebody must have careened off of the edge. I'm not seeing it. Huh. Maybe it was on the Farm Sim 13 version of the map. I just don't recall. Yeah, we don't come up to this end of the map very often. The garden center, if you will. I think we can get fertilizer and that kind of thing up here as long. And in addition to, oh yeah, some pallets. I think it's pallet of material. Yes, so we have, this is larch saplings, birch, spruce, winter spruce. Last time, I believe I did spruce saplings, maybe? And these are, what, 40 pieces a piece? How many is in this one? 20. 40, 40. Why did I think there was one that maybe had even way more in there? Maybe this time I'll get winter spruce and I'll get a couple of them. This will be, where am I? How does this put me? Oh, I know what it is. You know, when you get done in there, it kicks you over here and it traps you inside of this vehicle. Oh, help. Let me do that again. That's kind of a dirty trick. Or I wonder if it's a car that randomly parks it, or maybe the map design has a car parked there. But okay, so if I go in here and then I go back, boom, it puts me inside. Oh well. Could get it. Oh yeah, already we can tell these little seedlings are kind of different. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Now, would only let me have one? I think so. Yeah, so, alright, well, I'm gonna have to come up here later to get those. So, let me turn my beacons on. We'll head on back down the hill, and maybe on the way we can see. I thought for sure there was a car. I'm gonna watch it out, I'll end up over the hill myself. I thought for sure there was a car down there. Yeah. Maybe it was a Farm Sim 13 version. Alright, so hopefully down here we aren't totally flooded yet. See if we can squeak our way through. Yeah, this is almost up to the bottom of this bridge. We shall sneak through. We're following somebody here too. They're trying to escape the... You know, that reminds me of something that I probably should do, which is when there's flooding, it'd be cool if I could figure out how to turn off the route or have the cars detect the... have it somehow detect the floodplain and then just stop and not go into it. But I don't know if I'm smart enough to figure out how to do that. But good to see the plane is working. I'm gonna head in here. Start planting. And last time I had it as thick as the hair on a dog's back, and it really caused some problems with jittering and everything. By the way, is that a tree I forgot to take out? Nope, that's one of Wes's. I want to be careful I don't take out his trees because he's got unique colors on them. So let me see here. What do I gotta do? Lower tree planter, turn on. There we go. Oh, it already put one in the ground. Isn't that helpful? Alright, here we go. Actually, I might have even used GPS to put it in. I don't remember exactly. Let's put some along here. Hopefully not get too close. This is going to really look interesting in here. I believe the trees, when they grow, they will kind of have a frosty appearance. And maybe I should cut across here and leave some rooms for equipment, you know, when we come in here. Try not to bottle it up so tight like I did last time. Maybe do a little gentler planting process. 13, slowly running out. And the downside of not bringing these in on a trailer is, I'm going to have to go back up the hill to get another thing of them. But that's alright. 3, 2, 1. One and done. There we go. Alright, back up the hill we go. We can brave yet another trip. I'm trying to remember. I don't think it's on the hour. I almost think it's on the minute that the floodplain raises just a little bit more. I don't rightly remember, but I think it's every minute. But sure doesn't seem like it's moved. Well, no, that has moved. I think that's a little higher than it was the last time we came through here. But yeah, as soon as it's flooded over here, I'm going to have to drive a little bit different direction to get trees. Well, the last time we met here on Gelvin Valley was basically a week ago. I think that's when I recorded the last episode, and it was just before my oldest son had his wedding, and we're now past that. He and his new bride are on their honeymoon, hopefully enjoying themselves, and we here are left kind of with, I was sharing some of the thoughts that I had about my son and some of, things about him. Not that anybody particularly cares, but I'll tell you, if you're a parent, you love your kids, you enjoy talking about them. So I guess it's my turn to talk about mine. So I mentioned a few things about him, when he was born, and some of the struggles he had initially breathing that put him in another hospital, and how he's a beekeeper, started his own business with bees, which hopefully are doing okay in his absence. You always wonder when you take whenever you're self-employed and you go on vacation, there's generally nobody who takes care of your stuff for you, neither in his business nor in mine. It's one of those fine arts of trying to work like crazy so you can take a vacation, and then working like crazy when you get back to get all caught up again. So, but you gotta take those times away, and of course, honeymoon is very important in my humble opinion. But another thing I would say about him, and I realize this wouldn't be popular necessarily with everybody, but I know it is here in the United States. He enjoys fishing and hunting, and it does make me remember Um, I forget how old he was. Kids here, if you take gun safety classes, which every responsible gun owner would do, um, they can pretty young be out in the woods and harvesting an animal. And so I'm trying to remember how old he was. He might have been, boy, I just don't know how old he was, 12, 13, maybe not quite a teenager. And I can't remember how much I've shared about, oh, what am I doing? Good gracious. I'm just in talk mode and heading on up the hill. I can't remember how much I've shared about my own interest in hunting, or rather lack thereof. Let me see, I think this was the last tree, right? Yes. So let me see, turn on. There we go. I grew up both fishing and hunting, and unlike my boys, I never really developed an interest in it. And probably, we're all going to be interested in the things that we're interested in, right? For whatever reason, Farming Simulator appealed to my boys for a while, for a certain part of their life, and then they got bored of it and they moved on. And to me, I am still enamored with this game. And whether it's modding, playing the game, or whatever it is, I just really enjoy it. So, and I don't see any end in sight. But for them, it had an end. Well, it's kind of similar with hunting, fishing, or whatever. I probably would do fishing before hunting, but I have just so many memories. And many of them are good memories, don't get me wrong. My dad was interested in both, and he would take his boys hunting, fishing. But it always seemed like whenever we went out, invariably it was a nasty day, weather like we're having right now in game, and was just unsavory to be out. And it was early in the morning always. I'm not a morning person. And so it always just required something that I really didn't want to give. And mainly like sleep and being dry and some of those things. And I just have so many memories of being out the boat with my dad, and it was pouring down rain or something like that, and the fishing was poor. It wasn't catching anything. Of course, probably if I would have taken a better interest in it, I would have, excelled at it. That usually is what happens when you take an interest in something. But so my memories of that, of fishing, and just bad weather. Ditto for hunting. Get rid of the rest of these just by zinging around here. In hunting in particular, there was, I think I've said before, I come from a very large family, so there'd be a crew of us, that would go out and do this hunting together. And what that typically meant, this is what I took from it, looking at it through a kid's eyes. I wasn't allowed, I was too young at the time when I started going out in the brush with Dad. I was too young to be allowed to carry a gun. So they allowed me to carry a knife, which they would use to skin the animal, if someone got one. But, big deal, right? Carrying a knife. I had no opportunity to get a deer. And what typically would happen is Grandpa or some of the older men who had the rifles, would sit what they called on a stand. And the rest of us saps would traipse through the brush, briars, brambles, whatever, and we were to shoosh the deer out. So we would kind of do it in a line, keeping track of each other through the brush to make some noise, to push the herd, if there were any deers or animals in there, towards a location where Grandpa or some of the other men had a clear shot. And I don't know how many of you have had the privilege, pleasure on a pouring rain day to walk through a briar patch or other things that scrape you and whatnot, but it's just nasty. You get sopping wet, and I don't know. I just found so many times I couldn't wait to go home, and would be stuck all over like a pincushion from going through too many briar patches to quote shoosh the deer out or whatever. So I didn't really care for that. And that's kind of the memory that stuck. Eventually I got older, of course, and I started carrying a rifle. And the one opportunity I ever had to get a deer, to bag one, this was mainly in cattle pastures that we were in, when we did the hunting. So Grandpa's cows were always in there, roaming around, and so the one time I had an opportunity to hit one or get one, it was in the middle of my grandpa's cow herd. And so I'm sitting there looking at it, and all I could see is making a mistake, accidentally hitting a cow, and then Grandpa having a cow because I shot one of his animals, so I opted to let the deer go. It was at a fair distance anyways, and the deer had loped on, and I still remember where I was standing there. And that's probably the last time I ever went out hunting, and I was either in my early 20s, might have been 20, but might have still been a teenager, so I haven't done it in a very long time. But until, this is about my son here now, so he gets interested in hunting. He wants to go out there, so we get him through hunter safety, gun safety, and all that. He learns how to sight it in his rifle, shoot it. Actually, I didn't get him a rifle until he was 16. I think we borrowed one for a few years. Some things are expensive. But it was classic. There was a couple times, I had things on the go, and I'm thankful I have some brothers who took him out. But I'm doubly thankful that the one day where he got his first deer, a buck no less, that I was out there. And I gotta say, it was, according to my memory, exactly what I remembered of a day out hunting. It poured rain the entire day. Oh shoot, I shouldn't come here. I need to go the other way. That's what I need to do. And put some way down here at this end. But seriously, it poured rain all day, and so we're out there, and I dressed up as well as I could. You usually wear jeans and work boots and a heavy coat. I think I had a Carhartt coat on, which is a pretty thick coat. And by the end of the day, I was just sopping wet, clear to my underpants, all the way through and through, because of so much rain that was coming down. You just couldn't help it. And the water was everywhere. When you walk through the brush, you can't help but get even more water on you. And it was just freezing cold, wet. But I'm so thankful I was out there to be with him. And, I got a picture somewhere. Actually, I think he has it. We mounted it kind of under his... under the antlers, which we put on the wall above his bed. But he was out there. Yes, I went through a couple briar patches, much to my chagrin, because, this time when I was going out, I wasn't carrying a gun this time either, so I had the privilege of beating the brush. And actually, this was kind of a reversal. When I was a kid, it was the adults that had the guns, and here now I'm an adult. I got a young man for a son. He's the one that has the gun, and I'm the one out the brush. And there were several of us out there trying to shoosh the deer towards a few of the boys that had guns. But I'm just very thankful I could be there with him. It's a wonderful memory I have as a dad. I'm so proud of him. It's that he kept his cool and was able to bring the animal down. Sometimes, And this is why you need training. Guns are dangerous, and if you don't know what you're doing with them, if you haven't been trained, you need to make sure that that thing is pointed the right way and that you're able to handle it, and handle it he did. So he brought down a buck, and he's done that several times since. Um, Let me see here. There's an area up here to plant too. Well, maybe just come in here. I had him in here before, so why not? Down we go. There's one to put in, and we'll just kind of carry some along here. And I mean, all the way to, so once you shoot an animal, we do what you call field dress it. So you basically open it up, you take the entrails out, and leave them in the field. Usually the coyotes will eat those up or something. But that way, you try to keep from spoiling the meat as best you can. And then when we're done hunting, we return to pick up the carcass and we take it home. This particular day, I know we took it to one of my brother's place who was kind of hosting it all, and he had some equipment to kind of, you hoist them up by the hind legs and you skin the animal, and some of those kinds of things, and then we put them in a cooler for a while. I'm not sure how long we let them cool, and then we have a meat cutting party, if you will, where we all get together and we bone it out. And traditionally, as a family, we've made our own sausage, and it's it ranges depending on what animals are caught in the year, but there's always a portion of it that is venison from the deer that are harvested, and the rest is typically pork. Maybe some years we've had some beef in there and various other ingredients. So most of it, deer is pretty lean, actually, meat. So that's kind of why we put a lot of pork in with it to kind of give it some balance. Oh shoot, I am out. How silly. Well, and everybody heard the bell ring, so I maybe am gonna head on across the valley again. I got one more pallet to pick up, and we'll have this planted. And maybe by the end, I wish I knew how long. I wonder if this is going to last maybe until 9 o'clock before it's done hailing. So this will be, let's see, this is 4 pallets, so 4 by 40, that's 160 trees. Yeah, we'll get them growing again, and yeah, replenish trees so we can have another forestry harvest at some point, because I know Russell loves them. Anyway, I'm out of time. One more little tidbit about a young man that's really special to me and is now no longer in my home. And that's just the way life goes. Anywho, thanks for listening and for coming to see Gelvin Valley again. I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.